Good afternoon. It's Scouter Ken here with some thoughts on how to build your Kub car. The Kub Car Rally is coming up sometime in the beginning of March, and we'd like to have the cars all set and ready to go. So I'm going to offer some thoughts this afternoon on things that I've learned over the years. First of all, of course, everyone starts with a Kub car kit, which comes from Scouts Canada, and the group committee will be supplying. In the kit, you will find a pine block, nice block of wood with two grooves cut in the bottom of it. They are where the nails go into those grooves to hold the wheels on. The kit also contains a package with 5 wheels and 5 nails. You'll see there's some little nails in there. Reason we get 5 of them is because when the Cubs play with their cars, it's not unknown for the wheels to break. Also contains a set of numbers that you can stick on your car and a set of instructions. Now these instructions contain an error, something that's not allowed. In the building guidelines kit, or paragraph, the last sentence says that racers may wish to lubricate axles and wheels using dry powdered graphite. Almost universally in Kub car races, powdered graphite is banned. Because if everybody shows up at the race with their little tube of powdered graphite and starts applying it to their wheels and axles, very quickly the room will suddenly become black. This stuff gets everywhere, gets into everything, and it's very difficult to clean, so powdered graphite is not allowed. What we do allow is an oil. You want to use a thin oil, something that provides good lubrication but isn't very sticky. I'll have a little bit more to say about oils in my next video. The question then becomes, how do we turn this square block of wood into a snazzy racing car? Well, the first thing you can do perhaps before you start to design your car is have a look on Google. Do a Google search on Kub car design. And remember, Kub cars are both spelt with a K, so make sure you do Kub car design, and you'll see all sorts of different designs that you can use for a Kub car. A couple of examples of ones that have been made previously, something that looks like this. You can see it's been rounded to the front, the back, and a slot drilled through for the driver's seat. Some googly eyes stuck on it. In general, you can decorate your car with lots of things as long as you don't go any wider than the block so that it'll fit on the track. Other than that, you're pretty much free to do what you choose. There are some height limits, but if you only go up 2 or 3 inches, you'll be fine. Another design of a car that's a little more streamlined perhaps has this sort of a profile and a different paint job. So once you've decided what you want your car to look like, what you do is you take the block and then you draw a line on it. You look at the side view or the profile view of the car you want to build, and you draw that shape onto the side of the block. Now this year we're going to have the blocks brought around to the leaders' houses. There are a couple of leaders who have bandsaws who can then cut this out. If you got a bandsaw at home, of course, you can do it yourself. So having designed it and drawn it on the side of the block, you will take it to the bandsaw and it'll be cut into 2 pieces, and then you'll wind up with the shape of your car that you're going to use. Now there's another shape that you might choose to use is one that looks something like this. So again, the shape of the car has been drawn on the side of the block and it goes through the bandsaw and you get 2 pieces. After you've cut it, you're going to want to sand it to smooth it off from the cutting and around the corners, and then paint it before you bring it in to have the wheels installed. Always better to have it painted before you put the wheels on so you don't glue the wheels shut with the paint. Now, there are a couple of things to think about when you go to design your car. First of all, the racetrack that we're going to be using has a starting gate where the cars sit on a ramp, and there's a wooden dowel pin comes up in front of the car to hold it in place, and when the race starts, the dowel pin falls away and the cars start down the track. So in this particular car, as you can see, the unfortunate designer decided he wanted an arrow and had a nice pointy front on it, and that's just not going to work on the dowel pin. They also did their cutting when they cut the angles on the front. If you can see it, they got them awfully close to the slot for the axles. These are only pine blocks. It's not particularly strong, and you could, in fact, when you put the axles in, you could crack the pine block, and then you'd have trouble putting the axles in. So You want to make sure when you do your design that you don't interfere with the area around the slots for the wheels, and you don't make it any narrower. There's a center rib in the track that the cars run down that keeps the cars centered, so they go either side, a wheel either side of it, and so you've got to keep them a certain width here, otherwise they won't run down the track. This unfortunate character, Alex, decided he wanted to have an arrow for his car. He did a decent job at the front. He realized he couldn't, whoever cut this out, realized that they couldn't bring it to a point, so they've got a nice flat there that works fine. But when they cut it and made it to the arrow shape, obviously they've greatly decreased the size of the groove here. And in fact, if you try and put the nails in there, they'll bang onto each other. And there's nothing flat, there's nothing parallel to the side of the car on this side for the wheels to come close to. They've also reduced the width of the axle, the groove here for the axles is reduced on the front. So that car just wouldn't work. It's a nice looking design, but it couldn't run on the track. So the rules of Kub cars say that you can have a car that weighs up to 142 grams, 5 ounces. That's when the car is finished and all set to race. If you take the pine block and the 4 wheels and four nails and weigh them, they're not going to weigh 142 grams. So when you're cutting, so we have to make the weight up. If you run a light car, there's a chance that it won't make it down the track. The track that we run on has a fairly long run out, and if you don't have enough mass in your car, it just won't make it to the end of the tracks. So that gives a couple of thoughts. First of all, you don't want to design a car, although it's very aerodynamic and may look snazzy, that's going to be thin like this, because that's not going to be anywhere near 142 grams in weight, and the only thing we can do to it is spoil the design is by sitting weights on top of it, which doesn't work. In fact, what we do to bring the weight of the car up to 142 grams is we drill flat bottom holes in the car, and then we glue in some steel washers. So when you bring your car around to the leaders to be cut out, the leader will first of all cut out the car, and you see this one's got some fairly fine details in the back of it. We will also weigh the block after it's been cut, and the wheels and the axles, and then we will drill out the bottom of the car to add some steel washers to bring it up to weight. The washers get attached with 5-minute epoxy. People have tried hot glue guns in the past, and the glue just isn't strong enough. The weights fall out. The other thing that's been found helpful when you look at the block is it does improve the speed of the car if the center of mass of the car can be somewhere towards the back axle. And that means it's probably better to put the long piece of overhang beyond the groove in the front of your car. That way we can drill our holes towards the back of the car and move the center of mass back towards the back axles. That does make the cars a little bit faster. So that, I think, is pretty much all that I need to say in this video. If you get your design, get it drawn out onto your car, and then give the leaders a call. I think you'll be given the leaders' numbers that have the bandsaws, and we can get them organized and get them cut out. Thanks. Bye.